We are Lagos Talks 91.3. Let's talk.
No, chill. Hello, my country people. She's the nice one, always trying to keep him out of trouble.
Oh, no, don't say that.
These two are on a mission to be the voice of the people. Lagos, are you ready? The big bird has landed.
This is Seun Kuti.
And I'm Ifunanya. Join us every Friday, 11 a.m. to 12 noon on our brand new show.
If I open this my mouth, all table scatter.
Father, help us all.
Talk to Seun Kuti and Iffy on the people's perspective every Friday, 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Lagos Talks 91.3.
We are Lagos Talks 91.3. Let's talk.
All right, it's 4 minutes past 11. A very good morning. Welcome to the Midday Show with me, Ifunanya, here on Lagos Talks 91.3. And as always, Fridays from 11 a.m., it's all about the people's perspective, where we create a platform for us to dissect things based off of your perspective, and of course you putting out your opinions and your points of view concerning whatever the topic is. My co-host is here, although far away, but is here right now, and he is Seun Kuti. Hi Seun, how's it going?
Hey Ify, how you doing? It's a shame we are doing another style of TPP this week.
Indeed, another style seems to be the norm now. Let's see what will happen next week, God willing. But I mean, it is what it is. We always have to adapt with what's going on to ensure that we are keeping the people updated with what's happening. How's it going, Seun? How's everything?
Actually, it's been kind of it's been more tedious than I expected, you know, because the political thugs of the government have been going to different people's neighborhoods to try whatever it is that they can get away with in their own strongholds, in their own strongholds in Lagos State. For me, I still believe it's not a coincidence that many of the places with the most violence are the strongholds of the ruling party of Lagos State, you know?
That's quite interesting.
Hold on 1 second, I need to get my dog. Let me get my dog out of this.
I hope your dog is safe. Well, whilst Seun goes to calm his dog down, we're going to be touching on a few things today. Of course, particularly, we're going to take a look at the president's nation address that took place yesterday at 7 p.m. It was a very short one. I'm not really sure people expected it to be that short. And the citizens have had different things to say about that. Okay, so Seun, before we even get
for me, it's not a coincidence. I think it's still the same government tactics trying to hijack this protest and the narrative of the protest that they've done from the first week. Because many people have forgotten that, unlike Abuja, that thugs actually killed people. Lagos, we have to fight back political thugs during this protest. As peaceful as we were with our protest, we have to fight. In Lagos, they brought them in. They brought the thugs to Alausa. If people remember, twice, Thursday and Friday last week. Last week.
Yes.
They brought the thugs. So I mean.
But Seun, let's get into, because we're going to start off with the president's address yesterday. He finally addressed the nation yesterday after being, so quiet, and people were wondering why, especially in the heat of what was going on with what happened on the 20th of October, which we would never forget, in Lekki, which was massacre of peaceful protesters. We still didn't hear anything from the president or the presidency, although yes, we did see a statement, somewhat informal statement from the vice president yesterday or 2 nights ago, which was about 11:30 something in the night, where he was, commiserating with those who had lost, a loved one, or those who were victims and all that. But yesterday, finally, the president gave an address. So we're going to be just dissecting some parts of it, because it doesn't seem like the citizenry is satisfied with all that the president had to say. I won't go through the whole length of it, but I'm going to start with this statement that he made. So let's just take like 3 paragraphs. So this is what he said. He said, on approving the termination of SARS, I already made it clear that it was in line with our commitment to the implementation of extensive police reforms. Sadly, the promptness with which we have acted seemed to have been misconstrued as a sign of weakness and twisted by some of their selfish, unpatriotic interests. The result of this is clear to all observers. Human lives have been lost. Acts of sexual violence have been reported. 2 major correctional facilities were attacked and convicts freed. Public and private property completely destroyed or vandalized. Now, Seun, we're just taking a look, because you mentioned, you specifically mentioned political thugs allegedly, hired by the government. Now, with what the president said, it seems as though he is putting all the responsibility of the unrest on those thugs who decided to disrupt the peaceful protest, but not necessarily saying that it had anything to do with, any political party in particular or any political office holder. So what are your thoughts about the president saying that the promptness in which the presidency responded to the demands of the people seem to have been misconstrued as a sign of weakness and twisted by some people for their selfish, unpatriotic interests?
Well, I think the statement of the president is what is selfish and unpatriotic. For one reason and one reason only. He spoke about it only from his own point of view and how it disturbs him as a president. Because nowhere in that speech did he speak about the people that have been hurt, people that have died, no condolences to their family, no mention of Lekki. So definitely he was talking about what he feels, not what the nation feels. And I think that's more unpatriotic and more selfish than anything else that could be done by anybody. He's the elected leader of this country, and the people deserve more than this now speech he gave, because I think the speech was actually to his own northerners and to the international community. I don't play the tribal card. I never played the tribal card, but it's obvious our president is an expert at playing the tribal card. And he did that yesterday, addressed the North, because that was most people didn't understand. That address was not an address to the nation, it was an address to the northern part of this country and to the international community. That's all.
When you say it was an address to the northern part of this country, was he, specific? Why? What did you perceive? What was that undertone?
The undertone is that whatever is happening is not for the benefit of Nigeria. Whatever is happening is against us, the rulers. They are is against me, Buhari, the ruler of this country. It's against us, the North, that are ruling this country. So it's unpatriotic. You understand that language? Because he didn't frame it in such a way that, we understand that things are not good in this country. So he's saying, it's against us. After everything we've done for them, we've given them trader money, we've given them farmer money, we've given them this one, we've given them that one. They are still not satisfied. You understand that tone? Because that's the tone. That's the tone. No matter what everybody wants to explain or say away from there, that's the tone that message carried yesterday. And that is what is unpatriotic.
Speaking about the unrest, because we see that this has led to unrest. Now you did mention the thugs. We saw the videos of some alleged members of the government who were gathering some thugs. We saw some in Abuja. We saw them getting into an SUV and what have we. We see that a lot of violence has ensued, following what's been going on with the protests. Now that the president has come out to make a statement that seemed somewhat strict and stern, as though it's a warning and a threat to the people, would you rather he didn't do that? Because clearly there is unrest at the moment in Nigeria. Places are being burnt. People's lives are in danger. People have been looted. People have been sexually abused. What would the president rather have done? Because we need a certain level of sanity right now, because it just seems like there's a loss of control around Nigeria.
Well, I'm not the one paid to handle security in this country, and in the largesse that is Nigeria, this largesse, because Nigeria is one big largesse. I'm not a beneficiary of this largesse. So I can't be cracking my brain on the advice to give government on how to do their job. The best I can do is to advise members of the community that, like we did in Ireland yesterday, to protect our own community from these political thugs, It's our duty to protect ourselves from these political talks, because that is what they are. You understand? So they are coming, all of them are coming from these different strongholds of the ruling party and spreading into different neighborhoods and creating havoc. And they, during elections, know how to bring these boys to order. During elections, when these boys are behaving like this during election, they never say that it is they are destroying Lagos. Because I've never seen one single election we are doing in this Lagos, one single rally, that there's no bloodshed, there's no destruction of property, that there's no fighting everywhere. Even in this Lagos, last election, they still stabbed Oluomo in the neck, destroyed half of the whole neighborhood when they were doing rally. You understand? But that one is necessary. It is not painted in any sort of, but once poor people stand up that they are doing it for themselves, not on behalf of politicians, and hey, everybody is losing their minds. Oh, I don't know what anybody wants to do. Me, I'm protecting myself. I'm protecting my own. This Nigeria has been all man for himself since day one. It's shown that has been screaming that we should change that mindset and be more unified, be more communal in our orientation and things like that. Everybody is like every man for himself, going to Abuja, going to different governors. No matter the atrocity they are committing, we are on their side. So now everybody is looking for everybody. Let's be real. Let's be real.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing that is missing here. Some realness. The thing this government can do, you know, I'll use a religious quote. Tell the truth, because the truth will set you free. As soon as this government decides to tell the people the truth about what happens in Lekki, there may be other people in civil society who will be brave enough to stick their neck out and start saying, okay, let's look for a different strategy. But this government is trying to have its cake and eat it too. They still put the blame on the head of people that it doesn't even concern. It's everything that is happening right now is what is wrong in this country. Is what we say we are trying to change, is what we say we are fighting for, but we sit down and we allow the same narrative to completely consume us. Where is the truth about what happened in Lekki? Where is the truth? Don't they say that it is the lies that is infuriating people? It is the nonchalant attitude, as if we are goats and idiots and monkeys. The narrative of this government about the whole Lekki massacre is a dehumanization of the people of this country. The narrative, not even the act. The act is a dehumanization. And then the narrative is a dehumanization. Like we are stupid animals. So if that doesn't change, I don't see how they can expect civilians to now start coming up with anything to help. What can we do? Everybody is in the dark. Everybody's in the dark.
Just to step in there, because you're talking about the narrative, especially what went down a few nights ago in Lekki with the massacre. We've seen that the Nigerian army has tagged pretty much all the reports about what happened as fake news. Not only that, we did see the Chief of Army on Media Operations come out, hold a press conference saying that the videos that we saw have been photoshopped. We did also see that the National Security Advisor, Babagana Mongunu, he spoke on the situation, and he said that he had asked the service chief to use non-kinetic security approaches, which pretty much means engaging in other forms of should I say warfare, like psychological methods, economic methods, cyber warfare methods, and things like that. So it seems as if there is a disconnect and a lack of oneness even in the military. So what are your thoughts about this? Because on one hand, no one has taken responsibility for what happened that night in Lekki. We are seeing that the Nigerian army is saying fake news. We are seeing the National Security Advisor, Babagana, saying, oh, well, I advise that they should use non-kinetic force, whilst approaching the unrest in Nigeria. So what would you say about that?
This is, we've gone from the era of unknown soldier. I posted this yesterday on my Instagram. We've gone from the era of unknown soldier, because people don't understand. See, this is what happens when you fail to study your country. We all say we love Fela, right? Have we forgotten that Fela wrote a song called Unknown Soldier? Do we know the story of Unknown Soldier? 1,000 soldiers left Abati barracks in Yaba. 1,000 soldiers, a whole battalion, marched out of the barracks, went 500 meters, 700 meters to my father's house, killed my grandmother, burned the house down, raped my father's wives, beat my father almost to death, arrested all of them in the house, 49 of them, took them to barracks, locked them up for 29 days. Are you hearing this story? Then when they were released and the government decided to investigate, they said all those things that happened was done by unknown soldiers.
Oh, wow.
They don't know who arrested them. They don't know who locked them up. They don't know who had them in the cell for 29 days. So you are surprised that this same institution is saying that they don't know who gave order at Tollgate, that they don't know who was there. Because we've let them get away with it forever. Obasanjo committed genocide in Odi. Facts, documented facts. 2,500 people were massacred. Zaki Biam, countless. Zaki Biam, nobody even knows the number of deaths that happened in Zaki Biam. What happened in this country? Are you not the same Obasanjo? Everybody is hailing all over the place and following up and down and saying he's an elder statesman. So if you can do such thing and people say you're an elder statesman, all the atrocities committed, all of us as professionals, so-called educated people, we shake and follow these people because of small change. That's why they will use to give it to eat and feel better than the poor. Why wouldn't they think that that they can't give you another story that you accept? And let's just give this in 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, everybody will forget and continue chasing after these politicians because that's where their daily bread is. So what are we saying?
Wow. Is
this the first time this government is doing this? And as I was saying about destruction of lives and property in Lagos, Lagos state government is an expert at destroying the properties of the poor and giving the land to their cronies. Where is that area? They've got to do it at Takwa. Every area in Ikeja, everywhere, Abule here, they came, destroyed all the buildings that people were staying, sold it to rich people. Everywhere they are doing it. Destroying people's homes and leaving them homeless for political cronies to come and take the land. Wanton destruction of property. No compensation, no anything. Now the poor have risen up. They've risen up, they are doing their own back. Abi? Now you want to talk to them.
Sure. Just to speaking about the Lagos state government, what are your thoughts about the Lagos state governor himself? Remember when all this happened and he happened to get to the hospital, and I'm talking about the massacre that happened on Tuesday night, and he happened to get to the hospital about 2 hours after all that happened, and he later on released a statement saying that it was powers beyond their control. What are your thoughts about that, especially with the army getting involved in civilian affairs, because we know that this was a peaceful protest. We know that this was happening here in Lagos, particularly in Lekki, and the military coming in and the governor saying that it was powers beyond his control. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I mean, that's just an excuse. Nobody wants to take responsibility. All of them just want to slide through. The government own is usually unknown soldier. This one is an unknown order. Lagos state government is deniability. That everybody is denying. That's all. But I know that if Sanwo-Olu was truly a decent human being, truly decent in the real sense of the word, this is the time for him to tell the people of this state the truth. Not all these lies they are telling us. Throughout the curfew of COVID, where the light at that toll gate ever switched off, we were under lockdown, lock and key. Nobody was outside. Still, that light was on. They were advertising to nobody. So how can they say it's because of coffee they were on and off? Like, see, all these stories. And then Lekki had no violence. Are you there, Joy? Are you there?
Yeah. Carry on. Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, but Lekki had no violence whatsoever. There had been violence in Alausa, yes, but the violence was by political thugs that arrived in BRT buses. See, that's the way they were denying this soldier thing. We saw the thugs arriving in BRT buses. The state government said is a lie. That is the passengers that were running away for their lives. I mean, all these kind of lies. you know, that have been getting away with it. So now, army didn't come to Alausa where people are being attacked.
Yes.
People have been killed in Orile. The police killed 2 people in Orile. The community went to burn the police station. The police killed people in Igondo. The community went to burn the police station. Because anywhere police station is being attacked, don't let anybody fool you. They've killed people there. Surulere, that they attacked Adeniro Ogunsanya, right? And Bode Thomas, all those stores. I was with my friend, and he's an APC guy, top APC guy. He owns a business in my area. I was sitting down with him. He's from Surulere. His people were calling him. They killed 2 people on the streets. Police. Another hour, they killed another one. They were calling him, sending him pictures like this. He was calling all the police organ. Say, please, they should stop shooting people, because once people get angry in Surulere, they don't need to stop it. They should stop. Nobody listened. Until the people stood up, started looting and burning everywhere. But they will not tell you the part of how they are provoked by police shooting. You understand? So there were really violent places in this Lagos protest. So why did the army go to Lekki where there was no violence? This is the question. That means that there was something at that Lekki that was important. And until they can explain what it is that is not that toll gate, we will not agree with their explanation. People have reached out to me, but it is enough. We have to stop compromising the people of this country. We have to stop compromising the people of this country for the benefit of these politicians. We have to stop it. Let them tell the truth. If they can't tell the truth, if they cannot tell the truth, then we, the people, should not align with them. Let them start with the truth. You see, they say, what gesture? Because that's what they ask. They say, what gesture can we do to let you know that this government is serious? I say, wow, the gesture is start with the truth. Start with the truth. Give us the truth, and I know that, yes, you are serious. Because I know they can never tell the truth because they're not serious about anything they are saying. How can a state judicial panel of inquiry discipline a federal institution? The best they will do is give, take 1 year. That's how they did our house. They used almost a year to do inquiry about Kalakuta. At the end of it all, the verdict, unknown soldier. So please, we've been here before. We've been here before. Nobody.
So you can see that this is the same playbook that is being used. Now, Seun, let's just touch. Let's quickly touch on, because you put out a video which seemed quite profound to a lot of people, because especially as regards what is going on with the unrest, there are thugs everywhere, taking advantage of the situation, causing mayhem. But you said specifically that why are they referring to these people who are poor people, who are hungry people, as thugs? That these people are hungry, these people haven't seen food for days, these people have a language that might be different from the language of others that are actually asking for an end to police brutality. So can you further explain that, Seun? Because we know that there's a lot of mayhem. People have died in the process. Women have been raped, from what we've seen. Stores have been looted. So are you saying that this is not being done by thugs, but just poor people, or the poor people should not be called thugs, or the thugs are being called poor people? I would like for you to explain that further.
There are definitely thugs involved in the protests out here. And they are political thugs hired by the states to change the narrative of the people. In my neighborhood, the poor people are protesting. But you know what they are doing? They are blocking the road. They're not allowing people to pass. They are chanting. My whole neighborhood here, they're outside. I think I'm outside. I'm only outside going to warn them, not warn them, but guide them, saying, this is our neighborhood. In this Ikeja, for example, I'm really close to my people, so I can talk to them, and understand their grievances. And I say, I support your grievances. Keep up what you are doing. The people need your support. But then there are a group of people that are going around with stick and cutlass and doing all this. We saw when they bought all the new cutlass online. So all these things, I don't know why we're still going back. There are 2 groups of people here. And even before there was any looting, just because the people were fighting back after the police had shot them, they were calling them thugs and hooligans. And they were not thugs and hooligans. We have to admit that. We have to accept that they are just poor Nigerians that express themselves differently. Okay? The mobbing of the when they entered the warehouse yesterday in Maza, did you see any fighting there? This is another question. You saw inside that place, these people you say that they always fight. In the midst of plenty, when there was no scarcity, when nobody was keeping them oppressed and hungry, they were helping themselves share the thing and carry it out. There was no single fight, no single death, no single bloodshed. The people helped themselves to what was theirs. Can you compare them to the owner of that warehouse? Who is a human being among those poor people that stormed that warehouse, and the rich owner of that warehouse that stored that food there while the whole state was going hungry during COVID? Who is the human being? And amongst these two groups, who do you think has more influence in the government? Those people that entered that warehouse or the owner of that warehouse? See, that's how we know what is going on in this country. We, the people, are locked out of what is ours. And in our agitation to get what, so in the midst of scarcity, they dehumanize us. But as soon as we are given access to what is ours in this country, we begin to behave properly. We begin to behave like humans again when we are not detached from what is ours. The reason why our politicians can hide their thuggery and their barbarism is because they have excess resources. But it is never hidden. If you look at them well, anytime something is serious that happens to them, they respond with violence. Because they're no better than any other Nigerian person. The only thing different is that some have access to resources and some don't. I always say to people, if you think Nigerians are different, how you know is by our driving. Watch the driving of Nigerian people. It's the way we drive in Mushin that we drive in Oshodi. It's the way we drive in Oshodi that we drive in VI. It's the way we drive in VI that we drive in Lekki. There's no difference. So when people now want to come and say, we are better than these poor people, these thugs, our politicians, when they have simple misunderstanding inside Senate chambers, don't they start fighting?
That's very true.
Don't they start fighting and destroying the building?
Yes, they do.
So how many people
before you carry
have we stopped calling them your excellency or honorable to start calling them your hooliganism and your thug because of their behavior? No, we keep their respect because we think that they are successful rich people. But once the poor people stand up for themselves, we suddenly remove their humanity and wear them the toga of hooligan and I beg.
I'm sure. so
and
that's a very that's a very cogent perspective.
We need to come off our high horse. It's high time. See, once they are done, let me tell you something. Once they are done with these institutions and politicians, the next step is the Nigerian professional. You might think it is unjust, but it is not. And I've said it on people's perspective many times.
Exactly about
Nigerian professionals have never gone on strike because the poor cannot eat. The Nigerian professionals have never gone on strike because the poor children cannot go to school. And public school is destroyed. We just send our own to private and forget. We never go on strike because they cannot treat themselves. We never go on strike because of the high maternal deaths that happen in their communities. We never go on strike because of the high infant mortality in their communities. Nothing, no sign of camaraderie, no sign of allegiance. So you think that when these people are angry, they will think about us, they will think about our plight before they attack? This is a wake-up call, though. This is a wake-up call. Because now we know that the poor people, they are awake too. And this is our own wake-up call.
All right, Seun, that's, like I mentioned, that's a cogent perspective. How about those that are from the flip side perspective, saying if this becomes the narrative that poor Nigerians express themselves differently, do you not think that this is going to be an excuse for more unrest in society, where, you know, the narrative is, well, you know, these people are hungry, these people are poor, and so it's expected that they go around looting? Do you not think that it will cause a reason for more of that?
Well, I think it will not. One, if the government does their job, first step. Second step, if we, the people that have been able to afford some comfort within this oppressive system, stop thinking that we are special and start understanding that we're just lucky, right? And then create the platform that will at least politically represent these people to bring their just hope and aspirations to reality. See, this is our task. If we do not create those platforms that speak for them, that speak to them, that speaks with them, then we might as well be ready to get caught up in whatever inferno comes about with when Nigeria decides to actually end the nonsense that happens here. That is just the fact. Me, I'm not one of those that think I'm special than the people in Borno that have been going under Boko Haram attack for over 10 years now, and nothing is done about it. Do you think you are more special than these people in the eyes of these our politicians? No. The only reason they don't want to destroy Lagos really is because it makes them money. The North, they can easily, because the North they don't really make money there, so they are sacrificing those ones for land. So we sit down in the South, our brothers and sisters are being killed mercilessly in the North for over 10 years. We are quiet, we don't care. It's not our business. So if that kind of unrest comes here, are you trying to prevent it because you think you are better than the people that's been happening to for 10 years in the North? Better prepare yourself to face it. You better prepare yourself. Yeah?
Wait,
this is the problem we have. We all think we are special until matter reach B. Matter don't reach B now. We are not special though. Anything can happen to anybody in Nigeria.
Before we move further, Seun, if you are listening and if you'd like to join the conversation, please send us a tweet at Lagos Talks 913 using the hashtag The People's Perspective. Please ensure that you're using that hashtag so that we can see your tweets. And if you can, please tag me at Ify_I, that's IFY_I. And then Seun handle, which I believe is Big Bird Kuti, right, on Twitter. Is that your handle, Seun?
No, my Twitter handle is at Real Seun Kuti.
Okay, at Real Seun Kuti. Okay.
Yeah.
So tag Seun as well if you're sending your tweet. Join the conversation. What are your thoughts about this? What are your thoughts about the president's speech last night? What are your thoughts about the unrest that is ongoing right now in different parts of Nigeria, especially Lagos, with the looting, with the violence? Please feel free to join the conversation. Now, Seun, because you're talking about the working class, individuals that at the moment, the professionals that at the moment may seem as if they are exempted from all that is going on. Because I know one thing that you have been talking about for such a long time, especially on the People's Perspective, is the role that the political elites, or the elites, should I say, in society has to play in ensuring that justice and good governance is the order of the day in Nigeria, saying that the elites who have the power, who have the voice, should be able to speak for the general masses. Now, with all this happening, because you're saying that the elites should understand that they're not exempted, I believe that comes with a certain level of enlightenment. They might not be calculating the situation based off of how you're seeing it. They might calculate it based off of their own financial power, saving them or protecting them or being able to jet out of, the country or whatever. Right now, we're seeing that there's just a lot of chaos, and trying to speak to people in chaos, it may not be effective because people just around trying to either save themselves from hunger, trying to express themselves with anger or whatever the case might be. What do you believe is the next line of action right now? Because before people begin to, get to a point where they are more enlightened on what to do, those actionable steps that will be effective for us as a people, there has to be some sort of sanity right now. What do you believe is going to be the next possible step to bring that sanity? Because you're saying the government should, if they want to see all this, come to an end, they should do their part and, provide platforms for people. But before all that,
No, I said they should provide, they should do their job and secure the nation. It doesn't have their job to secure life and property.
Okay, so right now,
they don't care about life. Maybe they don't care about life. Maybe they should come and secure property because obviously they don't care about life. So they should come and secure property because obviously that's also what Nigerian people care about. Everybody quiet, suddenly some few buildings are burning now. Everybody is talking.
Talking about securing property, because at first it all started with NSAS. It all started with police brutality and police brutality. How best do you think that they can secure the property or secure their lives at the moment, where it seems as if the police are the enemy, the police are the target at the moment, and it seems as if the army or is out there to just kill people? So how do you believe that they can secure?
The army has come to Ikeja twice. There was no single gunshot that I've seen, and they went through. They said everybody should just not be violent. They went through, So that's what I'm saying. What happened in Lekki has to be explained. We want to know the truth, Secondly, if people in Nigeria drop their phone when they see these things happening, drop your phone and protect your community. As I said yesterday, some people came from K2 that already destroyed all the traffic lights on Allen before we got there. And when we saw them, we resisted them. That is not what we want in our community. I don't think anybody can come to your community and do what you don't want if you decide to protect your community. You understand? Now, that being said, number 3 is that we, the professionals of this country, we are the ones that will be left holding the bag when push comes to shove. All these people that we think are something, they will enter their boat, enter their plane, they will run away. It is you who work for them that cannot afford to run away that will face anything that is happening. So before that time comes, face your responsibility. And your responsibility is to politicize yourself. You don't have to join me, but start organizing in your communities, political platforms to represent these people. Let them see you as working towards the Nigeria that we want to get. I'm not as rich as many people in my neighborhood, but why do people in my neighborhood listen to me when I speak? At least to a certain extent. It's because I show that I am part of them. I am of them. I don't look down on them. I try my best to make sure that the things that they need to function as human beings is not taken away from them by anybody in our community that feels that they have the power to do so. These common little gestures, but no, everybody wants to sit down thinking that, because me have gotten some comfort within this oppression, comfort that you have gotten by betraying these same poor people, you are special, you are better than them. All that mindset, all that psyche has got to go. You understand? Putting people's children in your house and abusing them like slaves.
All right,
we, the professionals of this country, we need to check ourselves moving forward. We really need to exercise the spirit of the oppressor that has been inside us for a long time that makes us misbehave. We need to calm down. Forget that you hate Seun Kuti and you don't agree with him, but calm down, reflect, look within yourself. Those things that you do, you mother, the ancestors are telling us that this is the time it must stop. If we still want to have peace and a country to live in, this is the time it must stop, and we reclaim our citizenship. We reclaim our citizenship, because what is going on in Nigeria is some kind of boy ship that is going on. That's why our government don't ever use the word citizen. They say the masses, the masses. So we need to move away from these masses to becoming full citizens. And with full citizens come responsibility. And those responsibilities, we must embrace them. Because as Frantz Fanon said, it is the duty of every generation to identify its responsibility, right? And either choose to fulfill or betray it. And we have been betraying our responsibility for a long time. So it's time we fulfill it, or else things will only get worse. You understand? The fear that these people have of the system is gone now. They are no longer afraid. Okay. So now that means we are targets. We need to step up.
All right, let's just take some tweets. This is coming from Star Start, saying, and I quote, "The only difference between a politician and a thug is their fancy attire. If a politician takes off their clothes, he wouldn't be different from a hoodlum." This one is coming from AGK saying, the government over time has used these youth to perpetuate their agenda, especially during elections. No true end-SARS protesters will go looting and destroying businesses. There was no crisis or issue at the Lekki protest. Why send, quote and unquote, unknown soldiers? Why send soldiers and an unknown commander gave the order for them to open fire to disperse the end-SARS protesters at the toll gate? That's their priority and not the looting in other places. All right, if you're listening and you want to join the conversation, ensure that you're sending a tweet at Lagos Talks 913 using the hashtag The People's Perspective. This is coming from Ote Clothing saying, if and only if these incidents happen by 2022, I'm sure the government won't handle it this way because elections will be by the corner. I just hope all these acts from the government will not be forgotten when time to elect comes. This is coming from Preside saying, Seun is speaking the organic mind of majority of the Nigerian youth. The best place to start right now is to push for an independent candidacy, and this is achieved through electoral reform. Youth must build a common online platform where they educate their members always. Now, Seun, just getting back to the next line of action, because we see that a whole lot has happened. You see the youth more enlightened. It seems like we've said goodbye to political apathy amongst the youth, which is the majority of the population. All this is happening a few years before the 2023 election. What do you think is best to be done to ensure that this momentum is not lost? Because there are, schools of thought saying, well, when all this is said and done, it seems like people are going to get back to business as usual. Do you think that it's going to be business as usual? And how do you think it's best for them to maintain?
It's already going back to business as usual. And I can tell you that for a fact. Because, I see a lot of things in the background. People are already being co-opted. People are already being brought back into the fold. People are already being paid off. That's why, everybody is harping on this thug and hooligan narrative. As if that's the most important narrative of what is happening now. What the most important narrative that people were killed in Lekki. Innocent people are shot all over Nigeria. This is the narrative. Finish. But everything everybody's talking about is thugs are everywhere, hooligans are everywhere, because they already paid off all the influencers and news people to just be repeating that narrative. Because that's why they put those thugs out there in the first place, so that we can have a narrative to just be talking about constantly until the world forgets that people were killed in Lekki and we are fighting for a better government. Because the narrative here is that we are fighting for a better government, then people were killed in Lekki. But all I'm hearing now is that there are thugs outside, political thugs, hooligans and thugs. Is that the issue here? So the government is already going back to status quo. Everybody that collects brown envelope, they already collected their brown envelope. They're already re-engineering the brain of the people already. So that everybody is thinking about is thugs and hooligans.
Yeah, Seun, because I believe that there would always be a Judas, in every 12. So there will always be people that will be sellouts and would end up, being co-opted or whatever the case might be. But even according to the National Bureau of Statistics, saying that the young people in Nigeria are about 135 million, and this is obviously more than half of the population. So we are a majority of the population. So yes, out of that, we know that there will be a crop of people who'd rather sell their Commonwealth and their future, whatever. However, there are still people that are very much passionate about a better Nigeria. And right now, we are still in the atmosphere of just desiring that change. What can be done to maintain that momentum? Yes, there would always be sellouts, but amongst the people that are still hell-bent on, we need a new Nigeria. What can be done to ensure that that momentum is maintained till 2023?
Well, one of the most important things that must be done is that we must organize ourselves for a political revolution in 2023. We missed the chance in 2012 to get power in 2015. Because many of the so-called youth leaders went to APC politicians. So for me, it would be very stupid for us to make the same mistake again now, to allow some established set of corrupt politicians to take advantage of the energy of these protests to put themselves in power in 3 years' time. So as I've said throughout this show, we must organize. That's how to keep the momentum going. Politically organized. Make sure we say something political. Make sure we are moving forward in terms of finding a political platform. Every day, there should be something about it, so that those that are still interested have something to hold on to. Throughout, and we keep programs going. You know, we keep programs going. We should not be afraid of that. You understand? There should be at least weekly protests in this country till election time. At least weekly peaceful protests or protests in general every week, as they do in France. In France, there's a movement called Yellow Vest. They've been protesting every week, and they're not going to stop to the next election. I think it's about 40 weeks they went on, if not more. Till Corona that stopped it. Every week, every Saturday, Paris was shut down. France was shut down. Every Saturday, Yellow Vest, Google it. So we need that same kind of passion for our country, that same kind of tenacity for our country, because we are the true patriots of this country, not our politicians and our misleaders. So if we need to sacrifice that time, that effort, you know, because I said to people, NSAS is something that affects everybody.
Indeed.
Right? So rich people are also affected by SARS. You know, people with Benz, people with iPhone. So even throughout that week, iPhone is not a gun, a dreadlock is all those things. But as if those are the people that suffer the biggest police brutality in Nigeria. Whereas it is actually the poor that don't have iPhone, that don't have Benz, that suffer the most police brutality in this country. You understand what I'm saying? So even that narrative was quite elitist. That's why I said we can never say end SARS is the movement. We have to say we want to end oppression. Because it is not by SARS, because even though they scrapped SARS, because that's why the protest couldn't stop. They gave all the 5 for 5. The government actually answered, because the government will be willing to answer that, right?
Okay.
The government will be willing to answer that. You understand? Because it doesn't change the status quo. It doesn't change the status quo. So what the youth were asked for really was a change in status quo. And obviously this government cannot deliver that. People that benefit from this system cannot deliver that. Only the people can deliver that for themselves. That's why we must organize ourselves for the 2023 election. We must. It is not
all right.
It's not debatable.
Let's take some more tweets. This is coming from Don Away saying, Fela sang about exactly what happened in Lekki, which had happened before. The same characters killing your students in Zaria and Ife, and now peaceful NSAS protesters. I can't believe the same man can pull this stunt twice. This is coming from Stars saying, give Nigerians a week or two, they would forget about everything. They easily move on. The brutality wouldn't stop. Fuel price of food, exchange rate would increase, and the president will still borrow money. Nothing will change. This is coming from Codename saying, we need to know what the next step is, because I and I'm sure many other youth are confused, because I don't see police ever stopping to harass we young people. Seun, you've spoken the truth, but we need to know the way forward. And I believe you've heard some of the things that he's saying, talking about organizing. We need to organize ourselves, especially the youth of Nigeria, especially towards the next elections. This is coming from...
You see that joy, sorry, you see that joy in our heart when somebody says they want to take us to nightclub. Has to be the same joy we feel when they say it's time for political meeting.
Indeed.
You understand?
Indeed.
That's the change in psyche that must happen.
This is coming from Preside saying, Seun, don't you think it's about time for the youth to engineer a process that will produce representatives who will liaise and negotiate with the government on issues that are of immediate pressing concerns to the overall interest of Nigerians? So Seun, as you know, a lot of people, one of the fears, especially riding off of the NSAS protest was they didn't want to identify a leader because they didn't want what happened in previous and past protests to happen, where, you know, there is a closed door meeting and the representatives are being bought by the powers that be, or they're being threatened. And so they've been saying this is a faceless movement, this is a leaderless movement. But now Preside is saying, do you not think that it is about time that the youth engineer process that will produce a representative, a representative that will liaise with the government? What do you think about that, Joe?
Yes, but the representative must be chosen from among all youths, not some special youths. And that is the process that we lack because we are not organized. You see, we must not allow in the new Nigeria we are looking for the word, do you know who I am, to have any meaning. If that word still has a meaning, then we've not done our job. You understand? So for me, this is another reason, this is another problem I had with the protest throughout. The elitism of it all. The fact that the people that we say we are fighting for were not even given the chance to speak. It is the so special Nigerians that are speaking. But the idea to save Nigeria, if it was in the head and the mind of the special Nigerians, the Nigeria would have been saved already. Because I've been the only one speaking and doing for the past 60 years.
Right. This is coming from Star saying, Lagos State is the only state that keeps thugs and miscreants on the road to collect the money from motorists. The toll gate is a thug on its own. The longer the protesters stay, the more the money they lose. And it seems like they would kill to get them out of there. This is coming from Emmanuel saying, good of you and Seun Kuti. I totally agree with Seun that we Nigerians forget things easily. Most of our religious leaders hardly support things that will affect that politician friend who runs the government. Hashtag the people's perspective. Seun, because he's, you know, a few people have actually mentioned this, that it's normal for us Nigerians to forget, and give it 2 weeks, you would forget. Do you think that this time, because we saw the momentum, this just seems like something that, especially with this generation, has never really happened before, with the enlightenment and the awakening, and where people are more aware. Now, a few people are saying that, well, it's typical of Nigerians to forget easily. Do you think that this is going to be the same for the youth of this generation, that will just forget easily and then just, you know, move on?
I think the people don't forget easily. They're distracted. You understand? Our oppressors in Nigeria spend more on entertainment than they do on education. Do you know that? That the Nigerian elite, even the government, spend more on entertainment in a year than they do on education. The budget for wedding in Lagos alone is 5 billion naira a week.
Wow.
From this 5 billion, musicians are getting their accords. You understand? That's weddings alone. We'll never go birthday party.
Wow. So
this amount of money that is spread out there is basically to keep people distracted. It's not a coincidence that this uprising is happening this year when we have no concerts, no comedy show, no anything. Right after the last distraction they could offer the people.
Interesting.
Big Brother. As soon as Big Brother finished, Nigerian people started agitating. Because for once in our life, there was no chance to distract us from the issues. So, me, I'm not afraid that there will be distraction once the world Che!
He's agitated as well, don't worry.
No, there were some people making noise outside. As soon as this thing finishes, they will start their system again to keep the people distracted. Yeah. You know, but we, as the people, must not be distracted. We have to strengthen our will. That's why I said we have to strengthen our will. We have to become deliberate. And also, organizing ourselves has to come to the forefront of the activities that we feel is important. You understand? We should not give excuses. We should know that we are doing something great for the benefit and future of our country. You know?
All right, Seun, it is 11:58. It's time for us to say goodbye. It's been a very interesting and very enlightening show.
But I have one more thing. Let me just say, since I'm on the radio today and it's important, I share this thing with Nigerian people and young people in this country. You know, one of the greatest sayings my dad ever told me, and I used it a few days ago as well, is that bloody hands cannot build great things. You understand? The reason why the politicians of this country cannot do anything great, even though they've been sitting on hundreds of billions of dollars for decades, they can't do anything great is because their hands are bloodied. Bloody hands cannot do anything great. And that is what they want to make of this generation too. They want to lull us into they want to push us into a situation where the most violent of us become the leaders of the next generation, like they were in their own time. Because these people leading us today are not the most intelligent, not the smartest, not the most industrious, but the most violent of us are the ones ruling us today. So we must not make that mistake in this generation. As long as we still have a peaceful process called democracy and election, we must organize around that to make sure that we build our nation, that we take power from them as peacefully as possible and build our nation with righteousness. True righteousness, so not religious morality, righteousness. The true righteousness of African people. It's true. It's true. This is important, that young people at least have this advice at the back of their minds. You know, so do not become these people.
I like that. I like
that's very
profound. It's very, very profound. Bloody hands can't build great things. Wow. Seun, thank you very much for all that you shared today. We appreciate that. And if you're listening, remember The People's Perspective with Seun and I. It comes up Fridays, 11 a.m. only on Lagos Talks 91.3. So please make it a date.
The best radio show in the world.
It is the best, the very best, the very, very best. So, Seun, thank you.
Thank you for making this happen today. I was thinking we won't do our show, but I'm happy we did it. Thank you, everybody, for listening to us today.
Always prevail. Thank you, guys. All right, guys. The midday show is still on. However, I'm going to be back with the ladies of the dish at 1 p.m. We're going to be speaking further on what's happening in Nigeria. We're going to be dissecting some of the issues that have just happened currently. So we're tracking some stories on what's going on in different parts of Nigeria. So we're going to be sharing that with you. So please ensure that you tune in 1 p.m. And yes, you get to join the conversation. You can reach out to me on Instagram and Twitter at Ify_I. That is IFY_I. Seun, would you like to drop your social media handle in case they want to follow up with you?
Yeah, people can reach out on Big Bird Kuti on Instagram, at Real Seun Kuti on Twitter, Seun Anikolapo Kuti on Facebook. But this is the truth. I hardly get into my DMs. Too many messages. But tag me in stories and stuff like that. Hopefully I'll find it. But let me go one step further. My email is seunkuti1@hotmail.com. So if you really have important things to hit me up, I will read back to the people. Because this is the time we need to open ourselves to as many of our people as possible to find like minds and comrades that can build it. You know?
Of course. All right, there you have it. Thank you very much once again for being a part of the show. Remember, like I mentioned, there's still more coming your way on the midday show. Stay tuned, 1 p.m. The dish is coming up. Thank you very much once again.
We are Lagos Talks 91.3.
Let's talk.